Yo guys, today I'm going to teach you how to get free extra top speed in F1 2025. Sounds wonderful, right? And the extra good news, it's super easy to do. You don't even need to adjust your setup, you don't even need to adjust your throttle inputs. The only thing that you need to marginally adjust is your racing line down the straights. To get into my theory on why I think this is working and how you can be using it to your advantage, the normal part of the track that we're intended to be driving on, between the white lines, is very textured and very detailed by the game to make it as realistic as they can possibly do it for the F1 2025 game title. But the off-track has been smoothened and has less detail to it, I presume to save on the file size to make it more applicable for consoles. How we can be using that to advantage though is when you're driving at a high velocity in a Formula 1 car, the wings and the aerodynamics build up more load and push the suspension and thus push the floor of the car into the tarmac, aka known as bottoming. The bottoming is really bad because it generates extra friction underneath the car, what will be slowing you down as you go over the textured parts of the track that are going to be leading to you having less top speed potential. How you can be using that to your advantage though, as I previously mentioned, the off-track is less textured than the on-track segment. So of course you can't go four wheels over the white line, but as a prime example, down the back straight here in Miami, you can put two wheels on the outside here and be gaining a very marginal advantage by having slightly less friction from the floor rubbing against the tarmac, because that segment of the track is less textured than the normal part. We're speaking just marginal gains right now, but if you add them up over a lap, it is definitely worth having. And it's something I think you'll see F1 esports drivers doing more and more as they become wary to this little technique to be using. You can pick up on it just little bits around the track. You can see two wheels on the blue part here turning into the first sector segment here in Miami. Something to remember though, and something to take into note, because the game doesn't intend you to be driving on these smoothened, less textured parts of the circuit, what the game has done is made those areas less grippy than the normal part of the track, so it makes it really difficult, if not impossible, to be gaining an advantage from driving on those areas of the track in a corner. But of course you do not need to worry about grip while driving down the straight, because it's easily full throttle anyway. So if you're looking out for the little details, you can see just driving as much as possible on the off-track areas that have been smoothened out compared to the normal tarmac. What we're going to do here on the back straight in Miami is do a one-to-one test of how much audibly bottoming we get going down the normal racing line and using the exploit of this little thing about the off-track advantage we can be gaining. So I'm going to be quiet down the back straight so you can listen to the bottoming. So there we go, that was the first test, and you can hear the bottoming there. What we're going to do now is use the exploit, and now you can hear it as a one-to-one correlation. I meant to say comparison, not correlation. I didn't want to interrupt the little test there. But as you can hear, there's a very minute difference. But if we move ourselves over to another track, such as Abu Dhabi, this could be easier to be doing and you have more advantage to be gaining from that. If you watch my track guide that I did on Miami, I uploaded it actually yesterday from when this video is going live today, then you'll see that I did it a lot on the back straight. So it's something that you can be gaining bigger advantages from depending on the circuit that you go to. Of course, some tracks you will not have this opportunity to do so because it may be grass, it may be a barrier that is immediately after the white line. But if you can have the opportunity to be doing this, it is more than worth it. As you go around the circuit here in Abu Dhabi, you can pick out little areas that you could be gaining the advantage from. So, as I say, it's not a big enough advantage that you have to completely change your racing line down the straight, but if you're not changing your racing line drastically from what you normally would be doing, and you're only a little bit off compared to what you normally should be doing in your racing line, then it is more than worth doing. As you can see now, down the back straight, what we'll be doing is keeping the car over the blue part of the circuit and then opening DLS, and instead of being on a normal part of the track, listen for the bottoming. Okay, the ride height is quite high. There's not that much bottoming on that situation, but as you can see, we're able to be gaining the advantage from having a better top speed by driving over the blue segment. There is something to be mentioned here though. On some instances in the game, such as this straight in Abu Dhabi, there are potholes for where the track hasn't been completely correlated correctly in the game, so that's the only situation that I would drive around the blue segment to avoid those potholes. As you can see, going down right now, we actually do hit one of those potholes with the car, and it's something that you just have to be a bit wary of. As you can see, the car goes down into it, then rises back up. But in 95% of the cases, driving over the white line will give you a better top speed advantage than driving on the normal part of the circuit. And like I said, this is something I think you'll see F1 esports drivers doing more and more in the league racing season. As we get towards F1 esports as well, I think basically every driver will be doing this on the situations that they can, i.e. if the track and the racing line lends itself to doing it, I think they will. Will this mean that you have to adjust your setup? To be honest, I don't think so, because the front ride height in F1 2025, I believe, is a bit more limited by the curb usage rather than the bottoming down the straight. So it's more about setting up your front ride height for how much curb you plan to be using, rather than how much front bottoming you're getting down the straight. But again, we're fairly early in the game cycle at the moment for F1 esports, because of course F1 esports normally happens towards the end of the year, well into winter, and not in summertime. So I just keep that in my mind as well for where the setups may progress in the next few months. But yeah, this has been the video. This has been my bit of advice on this as well. So if you can be driving slightly off the circuit, then this will not be changing your life. It won't gain you temps per lap. It will just gain you marginally a little bit more straight line speed efficiency while driving on these segments. So keep an eye out for it, and providing that the track is not having grass, gravel, a wall, then if the track is lending itself to having these opportunities to drive outside of the normal intended area for us to be on, then you should be able to gain an advantage from it and just be gaining that marginal difference. So with that being said, I've been Brendon Leigh. Hopefully this video has been informative, helpful for you on how you can get even faster F1 2025. I'll catch you next time. Grazie ragazzi, ciao ciao, bye bye.